the lads, welcome back to a new video. I told you, I promised you this time it wasn't going to take as long as the previous one did. Here we are with episode 2 of one player every Premier League club needs to sign over the summer. I suggest we get straight into it this time, going from A to Z instead of the other way around like we did last episode. We start things off with Bournemouth, and I think Bournemouth could do with trying to sign another attacker. Um, there is no guarantees Antoine Semenyo will be there next season. I don't think Evan Nilsson can play anywhere else than the striker role. So you still have Kluivert and Ouattara who are capable enough to play across the front line, but I do think Iraola would like to keep Kluivert in the number 10 position because, I mean, he's proven to be extremely effective there this season. Hence why I've decided to suggest Abde Ezalzouli from Real Betis. This is a 23-year-old Moroccan winger who is left-footed. That means he's most likely going to be playing on the right wing, which is the one position you would actually most likely be one willing to recruit in if Semenyo was to go. But if Antoine Semenyo was going to stay, I think Ezalzouli could be an amazing squad option as well. I don't think he would cost an arm and a leg, and he has a massive ceiling, in my opinion, because this is a La Masia graduate. Arsenal. Let's talk about Zubimendi. Yes, I know, I'm dodging the striker question again. I'm still trying to figure things out. When it comes to Arsenal's striker role, who is most suited for that position? But I thought we might as well talk about Martin Zubimendi, a player who has rejected some of Europe's most prominent clubs in the past. I think about Liverpool, I think about Barcelona. But this seems like the summer he might be off. He hasn't played every single game this season which has been available to play. And add to that the quietly disappointing campaign Real Sociedad have had. I think he would be open to a move. A lot of very trustworthy people in the transfer space have already reported that Arsenal are close to agreeing a deal, or have already agreed a deal with Sociedad for his signature, and I think he would be an incredible player. Him alongside Declan Rice mean one of them gets to sit and one of them gets to roam, but you don't have to decide who that will be for an entire game. They can kind of feel each other out in that sense, which is incredibly exciting in my opinion. Aston Villa, I do think you need some centre back depth. I mean, let's be honest, this is probably the summer in which you let Tyrone Mings go. Diego Carlos has already gone in January. Pau Torres is reliable but often injured, hence why I've decided to go for a left-footed centre back. Tyrone Tyrone Mings, yes, re-signed Tyrone. No, 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 no. Castelo Luqueba. Castelo Luqueba is a French young centre back from Leipzig. He is incredibly comfortable on the ball, is unbelievably physical, so he would most likely be able to translate pretty well to the Premier League. He hasn't had the best of seasons for Leipzig, but I remember last year he was absolutely fantastic. He's still young, there's still a great player in there. Aston Villa take a £30 million punt on him. I think he could be an amazing signing for you. Brentford, I think they could do with a striker as well. Their record signing Thiago has not worked this season. I know I said last video Fabio Carvalho is their record signing, but that was obviously wrong. It is Thiago. I just forgot about Thiago's existence due to his lack of minutes this season. Hence why I am telling Brentford, go sign yourselves another striker. Go have a look at Mikau Tadze from Lyon. This is an unbelievably complete striker. I've suggested him for Newcastle as well in my massive transfer target video from Newcastle. If you haven't seen that one, make sure to go and check it out. But he is very threatening in the box when it comes to touches inside of the opponent's penalty areas, creating XG for himself, but also creating XG for his teammates, getting the that final layoff. He's an unbelievably useful player in the opposition's box. And for a team like Brentford, who don't spend a lot of time in the opposition's half, as they do like to play on the counter attack, I think making the most of the time you do spend in the 16 of your opponent can be a very useful trick for Brentford. Brighton. I think Brighton need a left back. Pervis Estupinian isn't really the most reliable player, in my opinion, in the Premier League. On his day, he's a very, very capable left back, but I think you need another one who is capable of performing week in, week out. Fran Garcia hasn't necessarily shown for Real Madrid he can do that, but I mean, not being able to perform every single week for Real Madrid is a very different task than being able to perform every single week for Brighton and Hove Albion. And that's with all due respect to Brighton, because I do know you're a great football team and a very greatly run club, but the spotlight and the pressure at Real Madrid, it is something else. So I think relieve Fran Garcia of those spotlights, take him to Brighton and give him a new lifeline. And he's still pretty young, so I think it could actually genuinely be a pretty great transfer for every party involved. Burnley, I already said it last video, welcome back. I'm still confident they don't really need to enforce their defensive line, maybe get some more squad depth options, but that will be one for later installments of this series. Right now, I am suggesting Burnley go out and sign Ante Budimir from Osasuna. This is a Croatian striker who is a bit more on the older side, but that also means he has the composure to keep on finishing chances, even if Burnley are in hot water come the end of next season and do need to fight for survival. Yet again, I mean, I think pretty much everyone expects Burnley to be fighting for survival next season, as will any of the promoted sides. But getting a proven goal scorer like Ante Budimir could give them an edge in this battle. Chelsea needs a centre back among other positions, hence why I've decided to go with Jonathan Tah, who is actually still available on a free transfer this summer. He has officially announced he will be leaving Bayer Leverkusen this summer. It will be on a free transfer. The only way I don't see this one happening is because Jonathan Tah has Barcelona written all over him. Barcelona love a free signing over the last few seasons, and also, I think this was a very, very strongly linked rumor last summer. I would be very surprised if it didn't happen this summer. But if I was Chelsea, I would be very much having every single conversation possible with Jonathan Tah to convince him to join them instead of Barcelona. Crystal Palace could do with another midfielder. I think Doucouré could be moving on this summer. Adam Martin, in my opinion, shouldn't move on, but he's so unbelievably talented that chances are he does anyway. Which means Palace will be light in the midfield department, especially someone who is able to receive the ball from defense, drive forward with it, or spray passes just to aid the ball progression. This is why I'm suggesting Ardon Yashari from Club Brugge. Yashari is an unbelievable player. It took him a little while to get going in the Belgian Pro League, but right now he is absolutely cooking. He is still only 23 years old, Swiss international, I think, right now at this point. And yeah, he's unbelievably physical, so he most likely will be able to match the physicality of the Premier League. He's unbelievably tidy on the ball, never really loses it, especially not in dangerous areas. And he's surprisingly technical as well. He can dribble, he can finish, he can spray long balls across the field. I'm a very, very big fan of Yashari, and I think he could go on to do some great things in the game. Everton needs about 70 wingers. Right now, their only real wingers are Iliman and Ndiaye, who they also can use in the center of the field, and maybe Dwight McNeil, whom they've also used in the number 10, and then Jack Harrison, who's probably still only on loan from Leeds United. I don't think that was a permanent one. So I'm suggesting go sign Dodi Lukebakio from Sevilla. This is a Belgian winger who has seen a lot of different top divisions, has spent a lot of time in the Bundesliga, but now recently also conquered the Spanish first tier, the La Liga, with Sevilla, that is. And I think he's had quite an impressive season for Sevilla. Obviously, Sevilla aren't ripping up any trees, but he's now gotten into double digit goal involvements, which means he is doing a lot when given little. When given a little. And let's be honest, at least next season, but probably for a couple more seasons at Liverpool, you are going to at Liverpool. At Everton, you are going to be given a little instead of a lot. So I think a player like Dodi Lukebakio, who's used to this, could be actually very useful for a team like Everton. Fulham, let's be honest here, Raul Jimenez is not getting any younger, and the start of this season really looked like he was finding his best goal scoring form yet again. But I think since the turn of the year, it's only 2 goals for him in the Premier League. Rodrigo Muniz also not good enough to be an out and out striker for a team in England who tries to compete for Europe. So if I were Fulham, I would try and go out there and sign Brian Broby from Ajax. I know he has failed in Europe, signing for RB Leipzig at a very very young age for a big fee, and not really showing his potential there. This is why he went back to Ajax, but since rejoining Ajax, I think he has refound his confidence, and I think the Premier League and especially the Fulham fans would absolutely love Brian Brobby. He kind of has this Mitrovic esque rogueness about him, where he can just shrug off any defender and make them fall to the ground just by standing there. He's an incredibly physically imposing striker, but he's also a very funny character, and I think that adds a lot to his profile as well. The fact that Fulham fans would absolutely love to see him, a lot of Premier League fans would absolutely adore him, in my opinion. I would love to see Brian Brobby in the Premier League. Ipswich, as I said in last week's episode, as long as we do not know who will be the side promoted from the Championship playoffs, I will continue to talk about a transfer Ipswich can do this summer, and I think go out there and complete your championship super squad. Sign Jafet Tanganga from Millwall. Tanganga is probably even a bit too good for the championship, but especially too good for a team who one season gets in and amongst the promotion push, the next season doesn't, but never actually gets over the line, which is kind of the feeling I do have when it comes to Millwall. So, if I were Tanganga, I would be pretty excited by a project like Ipswich, a team who looks to be building for the future, as a lot of their background people have said, as a lot of their players have said, and as a lot of us have been able to see with how they have built their squad over the last few years, over the last year mostly. Leeds should be signing a left back, in my opinion, as well, because even though Junior Firpo has had a pretty incredible season for them, from the left back, one, he is most likely moving on, and two, he has shown to be behind the pace in the Premier League in the past. So I do think so strengthening that position could be very useful for Leeds. I've also mentioned before I do quite like to shop in the Serie A, given how physical their training sessions and their matches are. So people are more, or their skill set and their physicality is more easily translated to the Premier League than, say, someone who's coming from Spain or from Germany. This is why Aaron Martin seems like a very interesting option to me for Leeds United. This is a Spanish left back who has had some incredible underlying statistics for a number of seasons now. He's playing for Genoa, who, I mean, they're an Italian mid table club, so I mean, I would be very surprised if Leeds aren't able to get a player out of there. But they do have some exciting talents, and I think Aaron Martin is very much one of them who could raise Leeds' ceiling a lot. Liverpool will also be one of those clubs on the hunt for a striker over the summer. And I think Out of every team linked with Alexander Isak, and no, I'm not suggesting Alexander Isak for Liverpool, calm down. But if we are looking at the player Alexander Isak is, I think Liverpool does suit him best. So I've decided to go and look for a striker who's quite similar to Alexander Isak. I'm suggesting sign Hugo Ekitike from Eintracht Frankfurt. He will cost a pretty penny, but he's still unbelievably young. PSG saw there was undeniable talent in there as well, and he has been able to flourish at Frankfurt into one of those incredible strikers. Obviously, you still have to caveat that with Frankfurt seem to constantly produce world class strikers, and not all of them are able to translate that in different leagues for different teams. But Eketike is this young that I would still be willing to take the punt on him, even if it's for 60 million. If you're getting closer to the 80 million mark, that's when I would go look for a different option. City needs defensive reinforcements. I've already said I think Ake could be going. I think Stones could be going as well. These are two players who both are able to fill in at the fullback and the centre back position. Hence why I've decided to suggest a centre back for Manchester City. I'm suggesting Robin Le Normand from like a Frenchman from Atletico Madrid. This wouldn't be the first time Manchester City buy a player from Atletico who's only been there for one season, but the one season Lenormand has been there, he has arguably been the best centre back in Spain. Certainly better than any centre back who's played for Real Madrid this season. Maybe there's an argument to be made that Kubarsi has been better, but I think Kubarsi is more exciting, but hasn't necessarily been the better player out of the two of them this season. So Robin Lenormand may be the best centre back over the last 12 months in Spain. I think he would improve Manchester City's backline a lot because it has proven to be more leaky this season than in other seasons gone by. Manchester United cannot go this summer without adding midfield reinforcements, and especially someone who is able to receive the ball from defense and kind of get it going, get some attacks going, get some patterns of play going. Because right now Manchester United do not have that in the slightest. Meaning, either you need to depend on a moment of magic from someone like Bruno, or spray the ball long, which is long as well. This is why, in my opinion, they should have a look at Douglas Luiz. He isn't having the best of times of it at Juventus. Probably not worked out like he thought the move was going to work out. But coming back to England, coming to a European superpower when it comes to their name, not necessarily the way they are performing right now or over the last few years, even getting the opportunity to be the main man in that midfield, because it's not going to be Casemiro. Bruno Fernandes should play higher, closer to goal, in my opinion, especially when you're signing someone like Douglas Luiz. Drop Ugarte next to him, who is a see ball, get ball type midfielder, because, I mean, let's be honest, that's not really what Douglas Luiz is good at or does a lot of defensive work. But still, I think he would be a pretty great signing for Manchester United. Now, the moment you have all been waiting for, it is time to talk about Newcastle United. Last episode, I suggested a right winger, so it is only natural that right now we have a look at the right sided centre back role. I want to suggest Usman Diomande again from Sporting Lisbon. This guy is so good and so ready made for the Premier League. He is tall, he is physical, he is strong, he's fast. He's unbelievably fast for his um, build, shall we say, because he's built like an absolute brick shithouse. And I would love to see him in the Premier League, especially for Newcastle United. He's also pretty comfortable on the ball as well, so you don't lose every single asset of Cher's ball playing ability when you play Diomande instead. He most likely, or at the very least, Shar would most likely be able to cover at the left hand center back as well. I think Diamande would be an absolutely class signing for us. Nottingham Forest probably will be having a look at a new left back come the summer because, I mean, Ola Aina is still leaving on a free as things stand. I think there were some clubs in Holland very keen on signing him up. Apart from him, you still have Nico Williams, you still have Harry Toffolo, who's seen some minutes recently. But Nico Williams is still a right back by trade. I think he would prefer to play there in the future. So signing a left back from one of the relegated teams could be maybe pretty interesting for Nottingham Forest. I would go out there and sign Leif Davies from Ipswich. This is one of the two Ipswich players who has to be too good to go down with them to the championship. Not a lot of players in that squad deserve that title, which is probably a good thing because if you're Ipswich, you want to keep that as much as of those players together as possible. But I don't think Davies would be one of them. Tottenham needs some more centre backs. They've already signed Danso in January, and he's been fine so far. Not really setting the world alight, but also giving them some much needed cover. And I think Hincapie from Bayer Leverkusen, who has today um, or about whom Fabrizio Romano has announced today that he has a 65 million pound release clause, I think he would be a great signing for Tottenham. He is very good at centre back. He's also capable of playing left back. If Spurs want to switch to a back three, he's also very adept at playing the left hand centre back in a back three like that. He would be class for Spurs. That's simply it. West Ham United. I'm suggesting l'enfant terrible, Matteo Guendouzi. Get some midfield steel in that Hammers midfield. Make sure one, Guido Rodriguez is only a backup, and two, a player like Thomas Suchek is able to be someone like a Fellaini who you can bring on in the 80th minute and just drop cross after cross after cross towards. But when you're looking to control a game, I think someone like Guendouzi could be a very smart signing for West Ham and someone who top clubs would most likely stay away from due to his past attitude problems. We've already come to the last team, Wolves. I mean, let's just talk about it. The club captain, Nelson Semedo, isn't getting any younger. There is a very much Premier League quality right back going down with one of the sides. I'm obviously talking about Kyle Walker Peters. He can't be playing a championship season yet again. Can he? He's what, 28 now? Is he really going to be wasting his best years in the second tier when he's so obviously good enough to play in the Premier League? I think he should make the move. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of the video, the end of episode 2. I'm suggesting for episode 3, we look at one player from every team who could leave their club this summer, but that's going to be a video which will be out next week. I want to thank you for watching. If you did go on to enjoy, leave a like on the video. Leave a comment. Did you agree with my picks? Which transfers should your club be making this summer? Which positions should they be focusing on? Which players would you really like to see end up donning the shirt of your club? Be sure to let us know down below and on our social media pages, which you should also already be following. Magpie 24/7 on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook. You know the drill. And I'll see you in the next one.